like I know as an educated person, I know the impact that it will have on my life or my immediate surroundings or whatever. तो वो अवेयरनेस नहीं होती है लोगों को, बिकॉज उनको पता ही नहीं है कि उनको लगता है अगर इवन इफ दैट इंफॉर्मेशन प्रेजेंट्स इटसेल्फ, उनको लगता है कि हाँ मतलब ठीक है, हमारे तक आते आते तो बहुत टाइम लग जाएगा, मतलब हमारे बच्चे have to deal with the problem, you know. Yeah,
exactly. And so, imagine a thing that you just mentioned, like, melting of glaciers. अब उसका impact ये भी होता है कि a lot of viruses, which have been buried there for millions of years, they can come out and open, and then, things like pandemics could happen. And pandemics, are not something that are, you can't call it unexpected. This was long pending, sorry to say, and if we don't mend our habits now, this will just continue to be more frequent. Earlier, this used to be like every 100 years. 2020 is the next time a pandemic like this will happen. Firstly, we are learning to live with the virus because everything is opening up, because the business as usual cannot stop. But we have to understand that now sustainability in every sense has to be a part, has to be the core of anything that we do. Whether it is any kind of business, any kind of activity you're involved in, sustainability has to be at the core, because if there is no planet, then there is no existence.
No, but as you said, the ice caps melting and stuff, there will be newer viruses or newer bacteria that might have survived. So they would actually be more potent, because if they've survived that temperature or whatever period of time, so obviously unhone मतलब the virus have a certain immunity जो हमें अभी पता नहीं है, and it will only get more and more.
Definitely. And it is like an unknown, right? Because we have not tackled those viruses before, so we do not even have the vaccination or the cure for it, similar to how what's happening with coronavirus. So whatever be the nature of those viruses and bacteria that have been captured in those glaciers in any form, when they come out, they will be completely alien to us. And it will take a lot of time for humanity to act on it, and it might be just too late by the time we are able to do anything about it.
Acha, now how is all of this related to, let's say, waste management? See, okay. Also, firstly, actually, I want to ask you that, like you said, कि अभी because air pollution कम हुआ है, traffic कम हुआ है, we are able to see blue skies, birds are chirping. Suddenly, हमको birds की आवाजें आने लगी हैं, and all of that. So, and generally, we are seeing videos, different country where like Ganga clean हो गई है, Yamuna is dog sightings are happening far more frequently now. All of that. But I'm saying, but once the lockdown is lifted, right? And it will probably be harsher, because जैसे ही lockdown हटेगा, हम सब अपने like I believe that for example the auto industry will do a huge demand, like because especially in metro and cities that are burdened by this issue, वो तो और बढ़ेगा, सब चीज मतलब ये तो वापस होएगा. And so how?
So see, there are multiple aspects of what has happened during the lockdown from an environmental perspective, right? One of it is like we could see that because vehicles on the road are almost null, have been null, like it's coming back now. The pollution will go back to the normal levels, and it has created a very unique scenario ever what I have personally experienced as well. And I'll mention a couple of points around it. First is that we have to move away from fossil fuels as a country, as a planet, and even if the auto industry is expecting to jump back very strongly, I think now is the time to boost the electric vehicles and the infrastructure for it, because all this time a lot of cities, even in our country, have been very smart. They did a lot of infrastructure work while the lockdown was there. Is some role, but I think these corporations at the end of the day, the big corporations who are driving the demand, at the end of the day. They have to bring that shift, and I see that shift already coming. In fact, I've seen people who are saying that instead of buying a vehicle now, I feel like I need it now. I might just delay it by a few months and rather go for an electric vehicle, because they could see that the infrastructure is already coming up. By infrastructure, I mean charging stations. So instead of going to a gas station to get the gas, or like wherever you park the car, there is a plug and play. So that is one. Second is, the pandemic has now dropped the prices of oil at lowest ever that we have seen in our generation. What that means for us is that consumption of plastic and generation of new plastic is going to become even cheaper. I'll give you statistics which might help everyone relate better. Irrespective of the amount of plastic that countries are generating across the world, India is generating around 26,000 tons of plastic waste every day. And that number has shot up for sure based on what I have seen. Only the recent studies came in, globally, only 91% of the waste, 9% of the waste has been recycled. 91% is lying either in landfills or your water bodies. Now, these are global numbers. India's recycling rate is a little better, Maanvi, because of a waste management industry, and we work very closely with them. In fact, we were helping them a lot during the coronavirus outbreak as well. India does better, but the problem is, again, all of this pollution gets into what commons. By commons, I mean, if the waste is not recycled, it is either burnt, which causes air pollution. The air is a common to us, or it goes into a water bodies, which I see is 9% plastic getting recycled globally does not raise question only on the recyclability. 91% जो recycle नहीं हुआ, a lot of that is recyclable. But why is it not getting recyclable is the question, right? The question is because production of new plastic, virgin plastic, is cheaper. So people end up spending making new plastic than recycling it. Yes, I think your voice got cut in between. If you could repeat what you said.
So I'm saying because production is actually cheaper than
ever possible. That makes it even more favorable for the plastic industry to make a comeback. And I know you've also been following these articles and reading a lot about it, and as to how single-use plastic is making a comeback. So the reason is not only the demand, the reason is also the supply has become more convenient, and the plastic bans that were there in many countries have been lifted. And our country is a perfect example. You could find plastic bags very easily on any sabzi wala, any grocery shop.
No, but there's also a sense, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, that plastic use or environmental pollution or any of these issues that we talk about, in a time like this, right now, they become last priority. Right? Yep. Right. So obviously there is controlling the pandemic, controlling the disease from spreading and all, and as it should be. Like that should of course be the main focus. उसके बाद फिर बाकी चीजें आती हैं, this is whatever. So like the reason why you're saying the plastic ban has been lifted is probably that. अभी को लगता है कि अरे छोड़ो यार, मतलब क्या अभी तो जान पे आई हुई है, so just whatever plastic ले रहे हैं, plastic bag में कोई कुछ दे रहा है, ये वो they don't even care अभी, although the people are fewer on the, but literally मतलब वो जो भी, क्योंकि अभी तो people who might have been conscious otherwise are suddenly they're like यार क्या है, अभी तो बाकी चीजें हैं. But मेरे लिए for me during the pandemic I feel a simple reason that was grocery shopping. अब तो हम we are only going out करने हम जाते when we are going time, right? चल के जा रहे हैं. They were not like usually पहले होता था कि काम से वापस आते हुए कुछ दिख गया, कोई दुकान में या कुछ याद आ गया कि अरे ये खरीदना है वो खरीदना है, we would stop our car and pick up things. And तो बैग भी नहीं होता, घर से निकल रहे तो I'm carrying, like you know, everybody carries bags, so that is an option. I'm saying like and क्योंकि हम वो प्लान, हमें पता है कि अच्छा बाहर जाना है, ये करना है, तो also I genuinely have started carrying a grocery bag with at all times. मतलब for people for this period, how can, like in this period the lockdown, how can from there whatever small effort, baby steps, but how can people, what can they do, like to kind of minimize plastic use?
Sure. I think there is a myth that using plastic makes more hygienic to use plastic. Tabhi this entire thing of packaging in plastic and everything came in earlier as well. It having something packaged in plastic gave everyone a feeler that this thing is more safe, this thing is more hygienic. However, that is now with the COVID-19 thing. There are I think there's some internet issue. Can you hear me now? Yeah, there is a lag. There is a lag.
Seconds of your lips saying what you're saying. Should
I don't know if it's my internet or yours. Is it fine now?
Yeah, it's fine. Perfect.
So I'll continue talking. So what I was saying was, okay, perfect. So what I was saying was that you have this feeling that if anything is wrapped up in plastic, it is hygienic. But a recent study that also this period, it confirmed that the virus can even sustain on plastic for up to 3 to 4 days, right? So ideally, using plastic is not a solution, and I understand convenience wise it is easy to just go to a market and ask for a grocery bag, because they can, and even though, but some people have changed that habit, because now you have to pay 10-20 rupees for a grocery bag. A lot of people have started either consciously or just with the thing that I don't want to pay separately for a shopping bag. They have started carrying their own bags. Like one bag is in the dashboard, one bag is in your bigger laptop bag, so everyone has a spare bag for grocery shopping. So that's one thing that we can do, of carrying your own bags. Another important thing is at our level, and I'll go a little again COVID-19 specific, is you have seen the consumption of masks and gloves shot up significantly. I was watching this video, sea divers going in, and they're able to now see masks and gloves on the seabed as well, which is really, really disturbing. And the reason for this is because, and you would have seen a lot of pictures where these masks and gloves are being littered, literally littered, because we have this habit of littering every possible thing which is supposed to be bent. We throw in. That creates multiple issues. First is the mask, the surgical mask, the single-use masks are plastic. These plastic bags. So just by using it once, most probably, if you have virus sustaining on that mask, if you throw it out in open, if anyone touches it, any kind of person in the ecosystem touches it, any waste picker touches it, they will virus. That's the health risk. Environmental risk is you're putting plastic in the open. It's not going to get recycled. It is eventually either going to the landfill and again in the water bodies. So the pollution of single-use masks, which are called the COVID pollution, is now very equivalent to the fact of that we have been talking about. And again, government of India has put out guidelines, which is you can use the reusable ones, the cloth masks, which can be washed and used and again, because you're not stepping out. The single use has to, because doctors, Exactly. So but these single use masks without realizing that neither they do any good to them nor to the environment. And again, it is costlier at the end of the day as well. So it's a lose lose situation for anyone using those kind of masks. uh, so that thing can be changed. I'll urge everyone to, you can use cloth masks. They are available in abundant in the market. Even N95 masks, they are a little costly though, so not everyone can afford it. And that's why the entire idea of making these masks at home or with your waste cloth, and create a couple of backups of it, and keep reusing it again and again. So that's something that people can do very easily. And another important thing is, yeah, sorry, please, you were saying something.
So also, like, you can make masks at home. So even with like
Yes.
if you a wrap of cloth. So I tried that the other day, but I'm just really bad at sewing. Oh, you made it yourself? Oh,
No,
that's
so basically, I am not good at sewing. So what we did was, we had a lot of waste cloth with us, and a couple of friends came together. We gave it to a tailor, and he made it for us. So he made like 2,000 masks out of
no,
it, and
I think even like we can just take a scrap of, just put on the side. If you just put up like that same kapda, so it can just hang on your ears, and that's it, because you just need to cover.
people to wear that conventional gamcha, right? The purpose is to keep the area covered, right? So as far as you keep it covered, and you don't, because the mask is just a protective measure in a way that if you are infected, you do not infect anyone else. It's not really a solution to the problem, obviously. So I think in the current scenario, people have, and again another issue, which it's very interesting to know that the guidelines say that even if you're using single use masks and gloves, उसको wrap करके अलग से एक bin में डालना है, right? You wrap it up either in newspaper, and there are generally several people are putting it heater कर रहे हैं, and the second category of people is putting it in their dry waste. Now, what happens is, was infected, and I put it in the dry waste, then the entire dry waste becomes contaminated, and then you can imagine, so that the entire plan to contain the coronavirus goes in the opposite direction.